Do you ever lie awake at night replaying an argument you had earlier that day? Going over every detail, every word, each one feeling like a sharp sting? Do you know that deep sense of powerlessness? That exhaustion after pouring all your energy into a debate, even when you knew you were right, only to watch the other person walk away unscathed? Have you noticed that the more you try to explain yourself, the more you feel misunderstood? The more you crave to be seen, the more isolated you become. It feels like you're trapped in quicksand. The more you struggle, the deeper you sink. Every argument becomes a battle you were destined to lose. A victory feels hollow, but the taste of defeat is real and bitter. But what if I told you the root of this problem isn't your eloquence or whether you're right or wrong? It's that you've been fighting on the wrong battlefield with the wrong weapons from the very beginning. Today, we are not going to talk about how to win an argument. We are going to explore a higher form of wisdom, how, through strategic silence, you can rise above the argument itself and become the true master of the situation. Get ready. We are about to completely change how you think about power. So why do we get caught in these loops? Why do we feel that uncontrollable urge to argue back even when we know it's pointless? The answer isn't a lack of willpower, it's a psychological trap. A powerful model called transactional analysis, developed by psychiatrist Dr. Eric Berne, gives us a stunningly clear explanation. Berne proposed that at any given moment we operate from one of three ego states: a parent, an adult, or a child. The parent is our internal collection of rules and beliefs, often taken from our own parents. It's the critical voice that says you should, you must, and that's how it's done. The child is where our feelings and core emotions live. It's the source of our joy, creativity, and spontaneity, but also our defensiveness, rebellion, and feelings of being attacked. The adult is our rational, objective self. The adult analyzes information, weighs outcomes, and makes logical decisions based on the here and now. It is not driven by the rules of the parent or the emotions of the child. Here is the trap. Most pointless arguments are a game played between a critical parent and a defensive child. It starts when one person speaks from their parent state. For example, "You always interrupt me. You never listen." This statement isn't about finding a solution. It's a judgment designed to provoke a reaction, and it works. It instantly triggers the child state in the other person, who now feels blamed and misunderstood. So their child state fires back, "I do not. Maybe if you said something interesting for once, I would listen." And there it is. The trap is sprung. This is no longer a conversation between two adults. It is an emotional battle. Logic has left the building. All that remains is the need to prove the other person wrong. So when you feel that burning desire to defend yourself, to lash out, to prove your point at all costs, that is your child state taking over. As Dr. Berne taught, true freedom comes from our ability to consciously choose which state we operate from. This brings us to our weapon: silence. Silence is the circuit breaker. It is the conscious tool you use to refuse the role of the child. It is the space you create to pull yourself out of the emotional storm and deliberately activate your powerful, rational adult. So you've used silence to hit the circuit breaker. You've refused to let your child state react. In that one moment of quiet defiance, something remarkable happens. the entire dynamic of power begins to shift in your favor. First, you break the game. Remember the parent-child game. It requires two players. The critical parent needs a defensive child to fight with. When you respond with calm silence, you are making a powerful declaration: I will not play that role. Suddenly, their accusations and judgments have nowhere to land. It's like throwing a punch and hitting a cloud. The game instantly stops because one of the players has simply walked off the field. Second, you create a vacuum. Humans are deeply uncomfortable with voids, especially in conversation. When you don't provide the expected emotional reaction, the anger, the excuses, the defense, you create a vacuum of power. The other person, geared up for a fight, is left alone with the echo of their own words. They start to second-guess themselves. What are they thinking? Did I go too far? Why aren't they reacting? To fill that uncomfortable silence, they will often keep talking, revealing their own insecurities and the actual weakness of their position. You gain information while giving none away. Third, you activate your adult. Internally, your silence is doing its most important work. It is giving your rational adult brain the precious seconds it needs to come online. As the emotional storm of the child state begins to calm, your adult starts analyzing the situation with clarity. What is the real issue here? Is this argument productive? What is my ultimate goal, and what is the most effective way to reach it? You are no longer reacting, you are observing and strategizing. Finally, you conserve your energy. Think of your focus and emotional stability as a finite resource, like a battery. Every pointless argument, every defensive remark is a massive drain on that battery. Silence is the ultimate energy conservation mode. It stops you from wasting power on battles that don't matter, saving it for the decisions and actions that truly shape your life. You remain calm and centered while the other person exhausts themselves fighting a ghost. This is not weakness. This is control. Understanding this power is one thing. Wielding it is another. So how do we move from theory to practice? How do we use silence not as a mere absence of words, but as a deliberate and powerful tool? This is the art of strategic disengagement. It is a skill, and like any skill, it can be learned. First, you must learn to identify the game. Before you can win, you have to realize you've been invited to play. Start listening for the language of the parent-child trap. Are you hearing blaming words like, "you always" or "you never"? Is the tone critical and judgmental? Most importantly, check in with yourself. Do you feel that familiar knot in your stomach, that defensive urge of your child state wanting to lash out? The moment you recognize these signs, an alarm should go off in your head. Warning. You are being drawn into a battle that offers no reward. Simply identifying the trap is half the victory. Second, when silent, become the observer. Strategic silence is not about shutting down, it's about waking up. You are shifting your role from a participant in the drama to an observer of the dynamic. Instead of frantically thinking of your next comeback, listen with a different purpose. Listen for the emotion behind their words. Are they frustrated? Are they feeling powerless themselves? You are gathering data, not ammunition. This simple shift in perspective keeps your rational adult state engaged and prevents your emotional child state from getting hooked. Third, master the intentional pause. This is your most powerful tool in the heat of the moment. When asked a direct, provocative question or when you feel that overwhelming urge to defend yourself, give yourself the gift of 5 seconds. Simply maintain calm eye contact, take one slow, silent breath, and do nothing. To the other person, this 5-second pause can feel like an eternity. It shatters their momentum. It communicates without a single word that you are not flustered and you are in complete control. It gives you the critical space to decide if a response is even necessary. Finally, if you do speak, use a surgical statement. Strategic silence doesn't always mean saying nothing at all. It means you make every word count. After you have identified the game, observed the dynamic, and taken your pause, you may choose to speak. But you will not re-enter the game. You will speak from your adult state with a surgical statement. Instead of a defensive, "I do not always do that," you might say, "I can see this is frustrating for you." Or, "I'm not willing to have this conversation when we are both emotional." Or a simple, "I understand." These statements do not defend or attack. They acknowledge the other person's emotion without validating their attack. They reframe the situation and end the game on your terms. This is how you move from being a reactor to being an actor who is in control of the scene. These techniques are powerful, but knowledge without practice is just theory. A tool is useless until you have trained your hand to use it instinctively. So if you are serious about reclaiming your power and your peace, this is not where the video ends. This is where your training begins. Here are 3 daily exercises to forge silence into your new strength. First, the 10-second pause. For 1 week, your only goal is this. Anytime you feel that emotional flash of defensiveness, that urge to interrupt or argue back, you will stop. You will physically stop yourself from speaking and count to 10 slowly in your mind. Breathe deeply. Feel your feet on the floor. That's it. You don't have to win the interaction. You just have to win the 10 seconds. This single habit is the foundation for everything else. Second, the argument journal. Every night, take 2 minutes. Open a notebook and answer 3 simple questions. What event today triggered my emotional child state? What was my immediate impulse to say or do? What would my calm, rational adult state have done instead? This isn't about judging yourself, it's about developing awareness. You are training yourself to see the pattern, and once you see it, you can change it. Third, the curiosity switch. Once a day, when you hear an opinion you disagree with, your challenge is to resist the urge to say, "You're wrong," or "I disagree." Instead, you must flip a switch in your brain from judgment to curiosity and ask a genuine question. Something like, "That's an interesting take. Can you tell me more about what led you to that conclusion?" This single shift will not only diffuse countless arguments, but will make you a far more respected and influential person. These exercises are your gym for the mind. They build the muscle of self-mastery. The highest victory is not to crush someone else in a debate. It is to achieve a state of inner peace so profound that the words of others no longer have the power to control you. Stop fighting battles that don't matter. Start winning the only war that does. The war for your own inner freedom. Now I have a question for you, and I want you to make a commitment. In the comments below, tell me which one of these 3 exercises you will start this week. Is it the 10-second pause, the argument journal, or the curiosity switch? Writing it down makes it real. Let's start this training together. Thank you for watching.